Good evening, I'm Jeff Forrest. Coming up next in Action 2 News at 6, abortion protesters chained themselves inside a Green Bay medical building. The Packers kept their fans on the edge of their seats to the very end of today's game. And Art Street offers hands-on inspiration for those up-and-coming artists. What a game. We'll have all those stories for you up next on Action 2 News at 6.
A good investment edition.
Well, good evening once again, everyone. And if you were watching the Packers game today and you said, well, they're not going to win it, I think I'll turn the set off. Well, the last couple of minutes were definitely worth watching. Paul Daniel joins us now with the details.
And then we were saying for a while, but they looked good in their loss, didn't they?
We sure did.
And we were wrong. Thank goodness for that.
One young fellow looked real good today.
Yes, he did. In past years, the Packers have gained a reputation as lousy pickers on draft day. So many of the guys they thought were good weren't. For that reason, the team didn't win. But when Tom Bratz and Lindy Infante came on board, all of a sudden the draft picks got better. Take one, Anthony Dilweg. Late in the fourth quarter against Buffalo this afternoon, he puts on a heck of a drive, helped along with his pass interference call, pass intended for Carl Bland. Now under 30 seconds left, a 3rd and goal coming up. Dilweg tosses this 2-year. Later on with more highlights and comments from a very happy Packer locker room.
Anthony Dilweg definitely didn't do anything to hurt his chances on this team.
I would almost say that he's going to wear a jersey this year.
All right, Paul.
A Packer jersey.
We'll look forward to a repeat of those highlights a little bit later. Okay. Well, Green Bay's victory wasn't enjoyed by many people at Madison Stadium, relatively speaking. Attendance at the stadium was just over 31,000. That's down from a high of 74,000 3 years ago. Stadium officials are blaming the rainy weather in part for today's low attendance. Officials with the Packers say they want to keep games in Madison, but won't make a final decision until early next year. Well, a rescue operation. That's what pro-life demonstrators called their efforts to stop operations at a local clinic that performs abortions. This morning, about 75 demonstrators marched outside this medical arts building next to Bellin Hospital. Inside, others chained themselves together, blocking the elevator and stairwells. Green Bay police were called in to break up the protest.
Our plan was to talk to the people and negotiate with them and find out what it would take to have them leave and what it would take that everybody would leave here peaceful.
Protesters remained chained in the building for 4 hours. There were no arrests.
The only reason we're leaving is because we have the assurance of the police and Dr. Sandmeyer, the building security, that they will not indeed kill children here today.
There were no arrests. Medical Arts building is closed for the day. In Milwaukee, about 500 members of Pro-Life held a memorial service for the 12,000 babies they say are killed each year by abortion. The group gathered by a tombstone in the Holy Cross Cemetery this morning. Police say there were no counter-protesters at the service, and it was conducted peacefully. Well, if you had the chance, would you rather win a jackpot of $1.5 million or $18 million? Well, the answer may seem obvious, but as Kathy Randall reports, even though Michigan's lotto jackpot can't compare to Wisconsin's new multi-state megabucks, sales of both games are doing well.
For $1 in Michigan, you can buy the chance to win $1.5 million. But just minutes away in Wisconsin, for that same dollar, you can win $18 million. So naturally, you'd think Michigan lotto sales are trailing off.
Michigan lotto sales aren't hurting just yet. Most players say they're sticking with the Michigan game because they think their odds of winning are better.
You have a lot less competition in Michigan than you do in Wisconsin.
I thought about it, but I have never bought a ticket over there.
Some are crossing the border because of the lure of the Megabucks jackpot.
A little bit more money and makes it more interesting, I guess. And I think some of the Michigan play it, people play it more because they're used to it. You know, they play it all the time, and it's a higher jackpot, which I'm sure helps.
But many Michigan lotto players that are used to playing the lotto are staying loyal to the Michigan game because of habit and convenience. Sales are down slightly at this lotto outlet, but they don't think it's due to competition from Megabucks.
They're down, I would say, maybe just this month alone, 15%, but that could be due to the fact it's the end of the month. School is starting.
Both outlets were busy today with folks from both states. If you can't decide whether to go for bigger jackpots or better odds, like this man, just play both. Kathy Randall, Action 2 News, Marinette Menominee.
The University of Wisconsin is under pressure to change an anti-discrimination rule supposed to take effect next week. A similar rule at the University of Michigan was declared unconstitutional because it was too vague and violated free speech. The ACLU challenged the U of M policy and says it plans to challenge UW also. The policies of both universities prohibit comments that can create, quote, an intimidating, hostile, or demeaning environment. Contract talks are in their third day for Wisconsin Bell and the Workers Union. People from both sides met for 2 hours yesterday with no hint of progress. 4,200 Wisconsin Bell employees went on strike 2 weeks ago, and management has been filling in. Here's the scenario. You're on the bay for a leisurely boat ride when all of a sudden disaster strikes. Someone gets hurt or sick, or the boat develops problems. As Terry Ferrucci reports, a well-trained team will be ready to help.
A Coast Guard helicopter hovering over the bay. At first glance, it looks like someone's in trouble. But today, the helicopter is flying a training mission. Coast Guardsmen from Illinois conducted mock rescue drills for auxiliary members in Green Bay.
If we didn't practice and have an idea of what was going on so everybody was doing the same thing with the same goal, we could have an accident and not only not execute a rescue, but could get ourselves in trouble.
Speed and agility and how it turns, it'll just turn on a dime.
But the group didn't do all its training in the air. The Guard also ran through safety drills on the ground.
If they don't work with doing the helo operations, then they won't know what to do or how to do it when the exact emergency arises.
Green Bay wasn't the only stop on today's training route. Coast Guard auxiliary units in Milwaukee and Kenosha ran through the exercises as well. Now, of course, as with any training exercise, rescuers hope they won't have to use these techniques, but they say they're vital preparations for keeping the waterways safe. Terry Ferrucci, Action 2 News, Green Bay.
Well, coming up next, we'll take a walk down Art Street on Action 2 News. Stay with us.
Tonight's Action 2 News is being brought to you by your Quality Plus Ford dealer.
He molds words like sculptor works with clay. That's how one artist at this weekend's Art Fest is sharing his talents. Gary Herrick set up shop near the food tents at the festival. If you share your thoughts with him, why, he'll write a personalized poem for you.
People like poems. I mean, because it's so personalized. I mean, it's their thoughts and their feelings. It isn't like, you know, searching through trying to find someone who's saying what you want to be said.
Herrick is just one of many artists demonstrating his work at this weekend's festival. It's a celebration of color, style, creativity. That's how organizers describe this year's Art Street. Besides giving local artists a chance to sell their wares, it gives budding artists a chance to bloom. Julie Cornell looks at some special features of this year's celebration.
This is one place kids can roll up their paint-spattered sleeves and let creativity rip. It's called a rainbow board, just one of the many colorful attractions at this year's Art Fest. Although kids say they wouldn't hang these works in their homes, it's fun to let paint fly.
Any kind of form, you know, it doesn't have to be anything real formal. I mean, for our trainers, it's kind of fun just to have a total expression, and that's what we're trying to do here.
And kids can express themselves in a lot of ways. This little girl is seeing the world through rose-colored glasses. What color do you see?
Red.
And if you don't feel like creating art, you can become a work of art at the face painting booth.
There's some trendy things. The flamingos are really hot today, and so is the Batman symbol.
Face painters say they paint a lot of children to match their clothing. By the way, we didn't see any plaid-faced children walking around.
All the colors for me.
All the colors? About half of Washington Street is blocked off just for chalk drawing. A pretty good excuse to do some street graffiti. That's probably why they call it Art Street.
If you can hold a piece of chalk, the street is your chalkboard, and the possibilities are endless. But if you want to preserve this art, bring a camera. It'll disappear with the next rain. Julie Cornell, Action 2 News, Green Bay.
And Julie tells us a street dance will be held tonight until 10. The festival runs tomorrow from 10 until 5 o'clock, if you didn't catch it today. Well, if you liked today's weather, you're going to love tomorrow's weather. Brad will be up next with his carbon copy forecast next. I'd have to say we had quite an enjoyable day today, but I looked at the Packer game and I saw those folks holding things over their head and umbrellas.
Yeah, there were some spotty showers earlier this afternoon scattered about eastern Wisconsin, but they've been kind of breaking up, kind of running into some drier air as they moved into our neck of the woods. So far for Art Street and all of the other activities going on in eastern Wisconsin this weekend, we've been lucky up until at least this point in time.
You got your own little version of Art Street there.
Yes, I do, and it comes to us from 7-year-old Josh Dark, and Josh is from Appleton. And you know, I think Josh is a real stickler for detail, because if you see that little bird down there, that robin down by the ground, if you look real carefully, there is a worm in his mouth. Or beak, whatever it is that they have there. I guess you have to call them what? Beaks? Mouse? I don't know. Thank you, Josh, for sharing that picture with us. Okay, right now in Green Bay, it's mostly cloudy, 76 degrees. The dew point, 60 degrees. The relative humidity at 58%. A rising barometer. Southerly winds now at 5 miles per hour. We did make it up to 81 And then for Tuesday, looks like a partly sunny day, and partly sunny again on Wednesday, with temperatures, well, right around the 80-degree mark by day, which is kind of a treat this time of the year.
That's pretty much seasonable, right?
Well, yeah, about 77, I guess, is the normal high. You know, normal highs and normal lows now are on the way down, right, all the way through winter, so...
I noticed, too, that the days seem to be getting shorter.
Much shorter. We're losing about 3 minutes of daylight each and every day now, so...
How's that pollen count?
I don't know today's. Nobody called.
Does it usually continue to climb yet?
Well, until about September 1st, yeah.
I've got a great nose to detect pollen. It doesn't agree with me one bit.
Kind of looks like a W.C. Fields nose.
You're too kind. And speaking of noses, by the way, the Packers had a nose for the goal line today. Paul will be up next with complete highlights and interviews from the big Packers-Bills game next on Action 2 News. Well, if you missed it a little earlier, Paul's back now with some more highlights from that incredible finish to that Packer game today.
You know what's even more incredible? They were like maybe 3 plays away from being undefeated this year so far in the preseason. Hadn't they sort of had a relapse against Baltimore, or I'm sorry, Indianapolis, they would have been undefeated. The Turk comes on Tuesday. The Turk is the name given to the guy who calls a player to the coach's office and tells him to bring his playbook along. Is a lucky lady. She has a hole-in-one today, a Little River at Marinette. She aced the number 4 hole, 205 yards, a par 4. She's got one heck of a stick. Think about the PGA Tour.
I don't think I could even hit it that far, much less get it in the cup.
I'll be your agent. There you go.
Okay, Paul. Thanks a lot.
You're welcome.
Up next on Action 2 News at 6, we'll salute the people who spend their summers keeping your summer safe. "15% to 20% of burn cases involving children end up being cases of abuse or neglect. Experts say most burn injuries are preventable. Tonight at 10 in our 2-Year Health Report, Maureen Jager tells us about a new system designed to cut down on the number of dangerous childhood burn cases. I want to check in now with Mr. Spakowitz one more time to see what our Sunday looks like.
All right, Jeff. Well, there could be just a stray shower around early this evening. Otherwise, for the most part, our next round of thunderstorms will be later tonight, a scattered thunderstorm around tomorrow. Otherwise, partly sunny tomorrow. It'll be sticky and warm, highs generally in the low 80s.
Okay, Brad. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Well, they're the people that we rely on in times of trouble, and they spent today getting extra training. We say here's to you to the Area Coast Guard Auxiliary. Several budget cuts have eliminated many paid Coast Guard positions. The auxiliary is a group of volunteers spending their summer patrolling the waterways. Each member spends literally hundreds of hours helping out, and for that we say a well-deserved here's to you. And that's all we have for you right now on Action 2 News at 6. We'll all be back here again at 10 with the winning lottery numbers, with some more highlights, with some nice-looking weather.
Yeah.
Okay. Till then, enjoy that Packer victory. We'll see you at 10.
Wardrobes on Action 2 News are provided by Frangies. If you see news in the making or tape it with your home video camera, call 437-2222. You could earn $50 for the best news video or tip of the week.